Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. I'm your host Rob. This video we're going to do a little bit of a movie discussion. We're going to talk about Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Okay guys, welcome back. So Captain America, the Winter Soldier, couple of weeks away from this movie. I'm very excited about it. Even though I like the first movie, Captain America, the First Avenger, this one looks to be way better. I mean, you could already see that there's much more intense action sequences. Looks to far exceed the first one. And I don't think, based on the trailer, I think this movie's going to meet people's expectations. I don't think it's going to exceed it. I think people have already decided what they expect to see from the movie, and I think the movie's going to deliver on that front. But I don't see it exceeding, and that's not a bad thing. Whenever you can improve off of a previous iteration of a movie on your sequel, that's always a good thing, because making a sequel that's better than your first movie is pretty difficult, and it hasn't happened that often. Empire Strikes Back, Aliens, to name a few. If you want to say Matrix Reloaded, maybe. Was definitely better than Revolutions, that's for sure. But, there seems to be a lot going on here. We see, going back over the trailer, we see that Nick Fury obviously gets into a very tough position where his car gets blown up. Essentially, that's what they show. And then there's another scene of him laying in a hospital bed, so he looks like he's in some trouble. Captain America, at some point, to me, I get the idea that he just decides to go on his own. Not necessarily. At some point, it seems that not only does he decide to leave, or at least go against Shield, but he's even, fighting some of these guys. So I don't know if that has anything to do with Alexander Pierce. He seems to be, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but he seems to be either a superior perhaps to Nick Fury, and maybe when Nick Fury gets injured, he takes over and starts doing some corrupt shit. Who knows? But obviously the focal point of the movie is the Winter Soldier, and Bucky Barnes making his return, much like in the comic book. And, that's going to be interesting because, when you see him catch the shield in that one scene, I got to say, that's pretty intense, and he tosses it right back at the Cap, and, yeah, looks like it's going to be definitely good. Now, some other interesting things are, I read the synopsis, and I have it here. I'll pull it up real quick. And, one of the things they mention in the synopsis right here, it says, 2 years after the events of the Avengers, Steve Rogers resides peacefully in Washington, D.C., struggling to adapt to contemporary society. So, it looks like one of the things I mentioned not some time ago, it was either in my Captain America First Avenger review or another video I did about the Winter Soldier, was I wanted to see him struggle a little bit while he's in his new environment. I felt that when he woke up from his long sleep back in his first movie at the very end, I mean, yes, he looked shocked, but I would expect something a little bit more, a bigger response to being in such an environment that was completely different from where he came from. So maybe that's something we're going to see now as he tries to adapt to his new world. But, it's just weird because at this point he's already been 2 years into it, according to this. So, I mean, now you could say that, oh, well, he had a lot going on with the Avengers and this and that and all those things. But, yeah, I mean, it just seems like we never got to see him go through that struggle of being in a new society. And I'm looking forward to that because I think that'll just, kind of give us a little bit more and make the crowd a little bit more intimate with Steve Rogers as he goes through his changes, not only as a superhero, but as a man from the 50s living in, 2014. So now another interesting thing is Peggy Carter, who's played by Haley Atwell, is going to make a return to this movie. Now, based on what it says here, a retired officer with the Strategic Scientific Reserve and former love interest of Captain America. So it looks like she may just be returning as herself, but much older. But I'm curious if they're gonna kind of twist it around a little bit and make her like her normal self, because Shield seems to have access to all these crazy technologies, and you see if you watch the show. I don't want to. Well, nobody probably gives a crap, so I'll spoil it anyway. But if you watch the show, it explains how Coulson survived Loki and what they did to him, and that was some crazy super tech stuff. So if they could basically revive and kind of change his memory with everything they did in that one episode. I forget the name of the episode, but it was a pretty good episode. Then there's no reason why they can't have some kind of technology that keeps her young. But I think even if they did, the question is why would they do that? Because they have no intention, or they had no clue that Captain America would come back. So it's not like they would do it for him. So, but I think for the most part she's gonna come back as older. Like it says here, older retired Peggy, and it's gonna be interesting to see how that works out. Now, Emily Van Camp is playing Agent 13, aka Sharon Carter. And one thing that's interesting here is it says that she's assigned to guard Steve Rogers. I mean, Captain America needs a guard. Yeah, and that's just kind of interesting because to me it sounds like more like spy, or at least see how he's adapting to his new life. So that should be pretty interesting. I'm also looking forward to Anthony Mackie as the Falcon. He's a good actor. He's come a long way. The first time I've ever seen him on screen was in 8 Mile, and he's come a long way since 8 Mile. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing him in action with Captain. It's they discuss how he in the movie starts off as almost like a counselor for former soldiers who have post-traumatic stress syndrome, and he himself was a post-traumatic stress syndrome patient, so he had a lot of experience with that. So it's probably why they put him in that position. And then him and Captain America, or Steve Rogers rather, they kind of connect on a certain level, and they have a certain understanding of I guess each other. And when Cap goes to him for help, he obviously accepts his offer, and they go on and they I guess they take on the Winter Soldier. So very, very, it looks really, really good. I mean, action-wise, it looks phenomenal. Obviously Scarlett Johansson reprising her role as the Black Widow. I think, I'm wondering if there's something big that's going to happen with Nick Fury, because Nick Fury's, Samuel L. Jackson, from what I understand, now I don't know if they've renewed it yet, but last I read, he was on the very tail end of his contract. So interesting to see what's going to happen with that character, if they're going to renew him, which they probably will, especially if they have so many phases planned. You still got Avengers 2. They'll do an Avengers 3. Ant-Man's coming out soon with Paul Rudd playing Ant-Man. So I'm pretty sure, I feel confident that they'll probably renew his contract. Maybe not for another 9 movies, but maybe another 2 or 3 until they either hand over S.H.I.E.L.D. to somebody else, or, S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer needed in their Marvel Universe in a future phase. But Captain America, the Winter Soldier, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Looks like a great movie. And the one last thing I want to mention is I'm very interested to see what the post-credit scene is going to be, because they're going to have one. Now, we know in Thor that they had the one that was leading up to the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm wondering if they're going to continue that, or if we're going to get a something more along the lines of the Avengers 2 Age of Ultron. It would make sense to me that if we get another post-credit scene, it'll probably be for the Avengers, because Thor is probably more closer suited to having a post-credit scene for Guardians of the Galaxy, even though Thor is part of the Avengers. But, the whole space and that kind of stuff. So definitely looking forward to that as well. So a lot of good things to come in this movie. I'm so happy to see it's only a couple of weeks away. I got to give Chris Evans credit. I really think he's done a good job playing Captain America, considering that he's played the Human Torch, and he's played a lot of roles where he plays the cocky, arrogant, cute pretty boy, and then as Captain America, that obviously still a pretty boy, but the cocky and the arrogance is completely gone. A very, very humble superhero. and it's nice to see him play that role. I think he does a good job. I think he's done an excellent job, in my opinion, as Captain America. A lot of people were not too happy with his pick, but I think he's done well. So looks like a very, very good movie. You can definitely expect me to review it here on the channel after I see it, coming out April 4th. So like I said, more than 2 weeks away, about 3 weeks away, a little over 3 weeks away. So very, very much looking forward to this movie. So anyway, that's it, guys. What do you guys feel? How do you feel about Captain America: The Winter Soldier? Are you excited to see it? Are you meh? Do you not care? Let me know how you feel about the movie. And until then, this is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.